Dozens of demonstrators gathered outside the residence of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem. They called for the release of hostages on the anniversary of Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel, which has left the country fighting two wars. The demonstrators in Jerusalem held banners and pictures of hostages taken by Hamas and demanded their safe return. The last track from the Nova Music Festival played once again on the anniversary of the surprise Hamas October 7th attack as families remembered their loved ones. The families of those killed at the Nova Music Festival, joined by Israeli President Isaac Herzog, gathered at the site where almost 400 people were gunned down and from many where the hostages were taken. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered on the eve of the first anniversary of the Hamas attack on Israel in New York's Central Park to demand the return of hostages held by Hamas militants in Gaza. The gathering was organized by the New York Hostages and Families Forum. The demonstrators waved Israeli flags, held photos of 101 hostages still in captivity. They were being seen chanting, bringing them home and sealing the deal. Explosions rocked Beirut after midnight on Monday, a day after Israel's heaviest bombardment of Lebanon's southern suburbs, known as the Dayeh, since it escalated its air campaign on September 23rd. Lebanon's state-run national news agency reported that 30 strikes overnight into Sunday. New strikes began in the Beirut suburbs late on Sunday. Israel's military confirmed it was striking Hezbollah targets near Beirut and said about 130 missiles had crossed from Lebanon into Israel, with some being intercepted. Lebanon received 25 tons of medical aid from the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, attending the handover ceremony at Rafik Hariri International Airport in Beirut. Lebanese Minister of Public Health said he rather called the aid significant, given the difficult situation that hospitals and the health sector are currently facing. Vigils were held in the capitals of Argentina and Chile for victims of the war in Gaza on the eve of the first anniversary of the conflict. Candles in the Plaza de Mayo of Buenos Aires spelled out "Free Palestine." Attendees held a minute's silence for those killed, while in Santiago, members of the Palestinian community were addressed by former Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Shtayyeh, who called for more international action to end the war.
Y corrupto que gobierna hoy el ente ocupación.
20 Indonesian nationals and a Lebanese citizen evacuated from Lebanon and arrived in Jakarta by commercial plane early on Monday. Officials say 20 more will likely arrive later in the day. Indonesia's embassy in Beirut had prepared evacuation procedures for Indonesian citizens as a part of its contingency plan since August. Currently, there are 100 registered Indonesian citizens in Lebanon, mostly students, migrant workers, and people married to Lebanese nationals. Indonesia's President-elect Prabowo Subianto will visit China next month to meet with the investors and offer them participation in a giant seawall project, his top advisor said on Monday. Prabowo's top advisor and brother Hashim, they held a seminar that Prabowo plans to build that giant seawall from Indonesia's capital Jakarta to Surabaya city in East Java province. Prabowo is set to take office on October 20th. Just hours after polling stations closed in Tunisia, supporters of incumbent President Kais Saied gathered on the steps of the municipal theatre in the capital to celebrate his victory. This after public television released figures from a polling firm showing Saied winning more than 89% of the votes. While official results are yet to be released, dozens of members of the country's largest opposition party, Ennahda, were arrested in a country wideswept last month. While the economy struggled during Said's first term as president in 2021, he invoked emergency powers, suspended Tunisia's parliament and rewrote the country's constitution to give the presidency additional powers. Pope Francis has announced the creation of 21 new cardinals for the Catholic Church. This will bring the College of Cardinals to 256 members, 141 of whom will be eligible to vote in papal conclave. This is a record-breaking number, surpassing the traditional limit of 120 electors. Incidentally, out of the 141 electors, 79% of them were appointed by Pope Francis himself. The newly appointed cardinals will be officially elevated during a ceremony on December 8th. Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said his country and South Korea have upgraded bilateral ties to a strategic partnership as he met with the visiting counterpart Yoon Suk-yeol for talks. The two leaders discussed various issues including the South China Sea and situation on the Korean Peninsula, as well as signing memorandum of understanding agreements on Coast Guard cooperation and nuclear energy. Yoon said that the two countries would strengthen their partnership on the security front, with South Korea taking part in the modernization program of the Philippine military. As America's Dead Sea dries up, Utah is facing an environmental challenge. The Great Salt Lake, one of the world's largest lakes, has lost two-thirds of its surface in 40 years due to the agricultural sector, mining industry and global warming, which is reducing the flow of the rivers that feed it. Faced with this environmental challenge, this conservative Mormon state has spent $1 billion to prevent the area from drying up completely without giving in to the religion of climate change. Devastating floods continue to ravage northern Bangladesh. At least 5 people have died and more than 100,000 remain stranded, triggered by heavy rains and upstream torrents. The floods have surged water levels of major river. Bangladesh is a low-lying nation and is thereby one of the most vulnerable ones to climate change. Army personnel have joined rescue efforts with boats and helicopters. Emergency supplies are being delivered and evacuation efforts are ongoing to rescue those trapped. Dozens of people are missing in floods that have claimed at least 18 lives in Bosnia after torrential rains inundated towns and triggered landslides. The waters are receding after the floods that struck Bosnia, but many roads to affected towns remain blocked and large areas are still covered in debris. Drone footage showed damaged houses, debris and cars following deadly floods in the Bosnian village. Many sifted through the rubble to salvage clothes and other belongings. Pope Francis expressed support with people affected by floods in Bosnia at the end of the Sunday prayer. US Federal Communications Commission have allowed Elon Musk's SpaceX and telecom firm T-Mobile to enable Starlink satellites with direct-to-cell capability to provide coverage for cell phones in areas of North Carolina hard hit by Hurricane Helene. The FCC often grants such emergency temporary approvals during disasters to help restore wireless and internet services in badly impacted areas and also to allow testing. SpaceX said that the satellites have already been enabled and started broadcasting emergency alerts to cell phones on all networks in North Carolina. The company said it may test basic texting capabilities for most cell phones on the T-Mobile network in North Carolina. According to a report, Chinese hackers breached US broadband providers and accessed systems used for court-authorized wiretapping. Telecom giants Verizon, AT&T and Lumen Technologies were among the affected companies. As per the report, the hackers may have had access for months to the infrastructure which are used to comply with legal requests for communication data. They also reportedly accessed other internet traffic. China's foreign ministry has denied knowledge of the attack and has accused the US of fabricating a false narrative in a bid to blame China. YouTube has resolved a bug that by mistake removed several channels and videos primarily flagged for spam and deceptive content. The issue arose last Thursday, affecting users including paid subscribers who lost access to content. The Google-owned platform confirmed the bug's resolution, stating that most impacted accounts and videos have now been restored. YouTube shared the update on social media platform, assuring users that subscriptions have also been reinstated. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has highlighted AI as a transformative force and has compared it to the impact of nuclear weapons. The minister added that AI is going to be the next big thing and countries should be prepared to deal with its after effects. Dr. Jaishankar warned that AI could pose risks similar to those of nuclear bombs in the past. He further noted that AI, alongside demographics and connectivity, will redefine the global order. He also cautioned that globalization may be weaponized in the coming decade, leading to job losses and other societal challenges. The use of the Chinese yuan in cross-border trade settlements has increased by over 20% this year. According to the People's Bank of China, this growth is part of Beijing's effort to elevate the yuan's profile in foreign business. While the yuan's proportion of worldwide transactions has slightly decreased, it remains the fourth most popular payment currency. China hopes to increase the yuan's usage in international trade to strengthen its political clout. To achieve this, central bank has promised to support the financial hubs of Shanghai and Hong Kong. Japan's top currency diplomat issued a warning against speculative moves on the foreign exchange market as the yen fell below 149 per dollar. The yen depreciated to 149.10 versus the dollar in early trading on Monday, the weakest since August 16th. after a surprisingly strong US jobs report for September led traders to cut bets that the Fed will make further large interest rate cuts. The yen has also been under pressure since new Japanese Premier Shigeru Ishiba stunned markets when he said that the economy was not ready for further rate hikes. Oil prices fell in early trade today after posting their steepest weekly rise in over a year last week, as oversupply concerns amid softer demand countered the worries of a wider West Asia war disrupting export in the key producing region. Oil markets are bound to experience tailwinds amid fears of Israel's retaliation on Iran, as the potential mass-scale escalation of conflict in West Asia has countered mounting demand-side pressures. Samsung Electronics is expected to flag more than a four-fold jump in quarterly profit on improving demand for chips, but the pace of its recovery is weakening as it is slow to cash in on the AI boom. Operating profit for Samsung, the world's top maker of memory chips, smartphones and TVs, likely stood at 10.33 trillion won in the quarter ended on September 30th. The global semiconductor market has been recovering from a downturn last year, driven by chips used in AI servers, but demand recovery for conventional chips used in smartphones and PCs is slowing.